Hey, and welcome to the second long episode of The DOORhof is Always Open. Today, a topic which I know a little bit about. It's model photography. So today in our studio we have our model Esther and we have our makeup artist Linda. And of course I will be helped by my assistant Wendy. In this episode you will see the whole fashion shoot and, well, I think I have a friend over from the UK who will show you in a video how to clean up your background and more. So, I won't keep you any longer. Let's start with the photo shoot. And let's see, we will have to interview our makeup artist, our model, my assistant, and we have to keep everything in the total running time below 45 minutes. Well, I think we will make it. So, have fun with the second episode of The DOORhof is Always Open. So we're now starting with the first setup with Esther. Esther is sitting on a white seamless and I'm only using one strobe, the 1.5 meters deep octa. I love that strobe because it gives you a really nice crisp quality of light. Now what a lot of photographers will do when they shoot full body is they will stand up and shoot from their eyesight. So normally when we see the world, you will look standing up and you will look at your model. The main problem with this is that your model will look a little bit smaller. Now when you sit on the floor, you have a beautiful perspective because you're shooting up and that makes your model a little bit taller. Now one of the things when you build your own studio that's very important to think about is the height of the ceiling of your studio. Because if the ceiling is too low and you sit down on the floor and you're shooting up, you will see that the model hits with her head or the ceiling, in the image of course, or you will see the background papers. So make sure that your papers are on a high point running down. So when you sit down and you shoot like this, so I'm shooting up, focusing on my model, and I'm making the shot, so I'm sure that my model fits in the image and I don't see anything of the ceiling and nothing of the paper rolls. So Esther, are you ready? Yeah. Okay, please stand on your position. Very nice, beautiful. Okay, and we're gonna start taking some images. Very nice. Turn your body a little bit towards the light. Very nice. Very cool. Okay, now watch out that both your arms are in the picture. Okay, now this is also very important. When you coach a model, remember that your model doesn't see what you see through the lens. So when I'm sitting here, I can see everything that's going on. I look through the lens and I see my model. My model, however, only sees me. So when she turns away too far away, she will lose one of her arms. And for me, it's always very important to know that my models are complete. In other words, that they have two arms, two heads, of course, two arms, two hands, not two heads, that's a really ridiculous model. Anyway, I want to see that my model is complete, so two arms. So I'm constantly coaching my model. And of course you do that nice. Well, normally I don't do this on video, but for you guys I make an exception. I will show you how not to coach a model. Okay, Esther, can you move to the left? To the left. No, to the other left. No, to the right. Oh my. This doesn't work, you see. What I normally do is I will use my hands to give my model directions. So, Esther, can you move a little bit that way? Very nice. A little bit that way. Very nice. Tilt your body that way. Cool. And this way it's very easy to coach your model. And you can even do it with your lens. Can you move a little bit that way? Perfect. You focus on the closest eye. In this case, because it's a full body, you can just focus on the face. And you start making your images. Very cool. Okay, turn your body a little bit more towards the light. Very cool. Watch your second arm. Okay, very nice. Now look straight into the light and center your eyes. Very cool. Now, with centering your eyes, this is also very important. When you do a portrait or whatever shoot, when your model looks straight into the light, it's very important that her eyes are straight ahead. So she doesn't look into an angle, because then when you look at the image, you will see a large area of eye white and a little bit of the pupil. And that's, well, I don't want to say it's disgusting, but it's like a horror movie. And you don't want to do that. So always tell your model, look straight ahead or center your eyes. And before the photo shoot, you just explain this to your model. When I say center your eyes, it means look straight ahead. So that works very nice. Now let's say that we did a lot of photo shoots with Esther and she's totally warmed up. Now one of the tricks that I do, and that's one of the main things that I love shooting with the medium format. At the moment I'm using the Leaf Credo 60 on a Phase 1 DF bag. Phase DF body. Now what I do is I will shoot every second one frame. And in this case, the model gets really relaxed and she can move around very easily. So let's try that. Okay, Esther, every second there will be a new frame and just go wild. There we go. Very nice, cool. Very cool. Okay. Very nice. Keep your arms a little bit closer. Very cool. Very nice. Cool. Nice. Cool. Now, for you guys with the DSLR, don't shoot on 9 frames per second because then everything will go a little bit faster and the model can't keep up. So try to slow it down. If you have the possibility, shoot 1 frame every second. This is one of the things, by the way, I love about medium format. There's no buffer. Until the hard drive is full, I can keep shooting at 1 frame per second. But then again, well, medium format is a little bit more expensive to get into. And a DSLR, with some, you can set the frames per second. And otherwise, go to manual focus, you focus on the eye of your model, you make the composition, and now you switch over to manual focus, and you just keep shooting 1 frame each second. And that's a really nice rhythm for your model. So, okay Esther, we're gonna do some more shoots, and then I have another tip for you guys. Speed, up. Niet schrikken. One thing, when you're filming a video like this and you're standing next to your model, you always have to give a sign like start camera. It's very wise to tell your model when you're gonna do this. Now watch this. That's beautiful. Strobes, no problem at all, but when you clap your hands, sorry, Esther. So, for our next tip, when you see her arm, she's a little bit open in her blouse. And I didn't like it, because on the photo, it didn't look right. Now, one of the best things you can have in your studio, except of course the model and your makeup artist, is something called, and this is a really, really, well, low cost, but one of the best things in your studio, and it's called duct tape. So, we're gonna put everything together with duct tape. Actually, your whole studio can be put together with duct tape. It will save your life, and it sounds like a joke, but make sure you always have some duct tape in your case, because I've done a lot of photo shoots where if I didn't bring any duct tape, well, the photo shoot would have been a total loss. So, duct tape, very cheap, one of the best things. It can even hold your models together. Right, Esther? Yeah. How does it feel to be duct taped?
Great.
Great. Okay. Now let's go do some more shooting. And let's see if I don't have any duct tape on my lens. So let's go. Now, one of the things that I find really attractive in a fashion photo shoot is adding a little bit of motion. Now, a lot of photographers will shoot their models just standing still or moving around just a little bit. Now, when you look at Esther, I'm going to show you some photos and we're going to build up to a jump. And, well, let's be honest, a model doesn't have to jump. Just a little bit of motion is more than enough, because when you ask your model, can you jump? A lot of them will say, yes, of course I can jump. And then they're in front of the camera, they jump, and it looks like, well, something that Greenpeace probably would have loved to save, but it's not nice for a picture. So, if I ask my model, can you jump? I always start out really, really slow. So, Esther, can you jump? Yeah, well, we don't start out with a jump. So Esther, if you just stand there, can you stand on your toes on 3 and lift up one leg? 1, 2, 3, go. Very nice. Now, with the counting down, sometimes I will use 1, 2, 3. Sometimes I will say 1, 2, 3, go. It depends a little bit on your model. Just talk with your model, and what your model likes, That's the way you count. If she likes 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, I have to stay within the 45 minutes, sorry guys, then you do it 10, 9, 8 and whatever. Whatever the model feels comfortable with. That's what we do. So we did one small thing. Now can you do that again? 1, 2, 3, go. Very nice. And she's barely off the floor. And I love that because it looks like she's standing on her toes. There's a lot of movement in the picture. But it can be a little bit more interesting. So when you do this, can you tilt and move your head a little bit? So there we go. 1, 2, 3, go. Very nice. And do it again. 1, 2, 3, go. That's nice. Okay, now this looks a lot better. What we can do now is ask her to do a little jump. Okay, Esther, here we go. 1, 2, 3, go. Very nice. And there we go again. 1, 2, 3, go. And by not letting your model jump all the way or on her highest, you save the energy of your model, meaning she can go on for a much longer time. But especially when it's warm in the studio, make sure that you give your model enough rest. Even if the model says, no, I don't need any rest, I don't want anything to drink, make sure you force her sometimes to take something to drink, because this will really drain your energy. Okay, can you go full out? Okay, there we go. 1, 2, 3, go. That's nice. One more. 1, 2, 3, go. Oh, and one more tip. Don't do this with high heels. The smaller jumps you can do with high heels, but I have some models who will say, well, I can jump with high heels. Don't do it, because if they land and they break something, well, then it's your fault. Okay, so a little bit of motion in your photo shoot gives your images just that much more interest. Okay, a few more, Esther. There we go. 1, 2, 3, go. And of course you have to press the shutter button. 1, 2, 3, go. Very nice. Watch out for your second arm, so it's in the image. 1, 2, 3, go. Wonderful. And one final one. 1, 2, 3, go. Oh, and one more tip. If you have some music on, like a real beat, that will help a tremendous amount. But again, choose the music your model likes, because your model, you have to do everything that makes her comfortable. So, in a moment we're going to interview my assistant and the makeup artist and the model, and maybe I have some more tips for you guys. For this next setup, I'm using the stairs in the studio. Now, a lot of photographers, they will go out to locations and they will scout locations for stuff that they really like to photograph. However, when you look around your own area, you can often find the most beautiful locations. In this case, it's just the stairs in our studio. Now, when you see the stairs, you see that, well, it's not a normal stair. What we did is we had some artists come in and they really transformed this area into a more well, how should we call it? A more urban look, like an old abandoned building. And I really love that look. So as a light source, I'm using a strip light with a grid. And in the final results, you will see that the lighting is very, very nice. The only thing I'm actually doing is I'm feathering the light across my model. So I'm not aiming my strobe exactly at the model, I'm just aiming it away. And you know why? Because I don't want too much light on the background. So when I aim my strobe right on the model, there will be a lot of light on the background. By feathering it away, I will lose some output, but we metered the light and we're now on f16, so that's more than enough. And now the background will turn darker. If you want a little bit more light on the background, no problem, you just feather your light slightly back. And of course, using a light meter in this kind of situations makes it very, very easy. As I explained on many of the videos and the Kelby training tutorials, you meter towards the background with a reflective meter reading, and when you're 4.5 stops down from your main light, the background will hold no detail. Everything above 4.5 stops will give you a little bit of detail. And now it's up to you how many stops below. Now, if you don't like light meters, no problem at all. We're always shooting tethered in the studio, meaning we have a connection to the computer. And on the monitor, I can see the images coming in. And again, if you don't like a light meter, just look at the screen. I would advise you to use a light meter, because then you know that you nailed your exposure, especially on the model, exactly right. But there's a solution for anything. So Esther, are you ready?
Yeah.
Let's make some images with the stairs. Now, one of the things I really like with this setup is just walking around your model. So when I shoot from the front, I will have a really nice flat light. However, when I move to the back, I have a really high contrast image. And I really like this. So I love to work with high contrast images. And when you're shooting almost straight into the light, you will destroy this. But if you're just finding the angle of the light, you can have the most beautiful shots. So when you're on location, always run around your model. Well, walk around your model. And you can have beautiful shots. Look straight ahead, Esther. Very nice. Chin up just a little bit. Very cool. And of course, don't shoot everything in portrait mode. Also change a little bit to landscape mode. Very nice. Thank you. Okay, let's go to the next setup. For the next setup, our final setup for today, I use the Deep Octa with the Light Tools grid to really channel the light. And I'm using a strip light also with the Light Tool grid. Everything about this setup is about channeling your light. What I really like is that I can control the light fall off very quickly. Now the Deep Octa I really love because it gives you a nice crispy image. However, because it's a 1 meter softbox, often the light fall off is a little bit harsh. So by using the Light Tools grid, I can really steer the light exactly where I want. Now by changing the angle of the light, I can also control where I want my light fall off. So if I want a little bit less light on the bottom, I will just aim my strobe a little bit up. And of course, when you aim your strobe up with a grid, you have to re-meter with your light meter. Now you see me handling something here. It's called a color checker. Now, this is one of the most vital parts in a photo shoot. Whenever you do a new light setup or you're using new strobes or on location, the first shot or the last or whatever in between, do it with the color checker. You hand it over to your model, she aims it towards the light, and you take an image straight to the color checker as flat light as possible. And then in Lightroom or in the standalone software, it's very easy to make a profile. So it gives you accurate colors and no color cast. Now, some people ask, why do you have the Apple logos on it? Are you an Apple fanboy? Well, I'm not really an Apple fanboy. I love their products, but, you know, they're white and they're big. And a lot of the color checkers, during the last month, I lost, I think, about 3-4 color checkers in the studio, because they're all black. And when I close it, it's a little black thingy. And you just lay it somewhere on a black amplifier and poof. Magic, your color checker is gone. So you have to buy a new one. So at the moment I have about 3 color checkers, because like they disappear, they also appear sometimes. And then it's, that's the color checker I missed. So I started doing the big Apple logos on it. And now in the dark I can see my color checker. So Esther, can you please hold the color checker as flat as possible to the light? I'm going to grab my camera and I'm going to make a picture. So hang on there. And by the way, I'm shooting on f4, and again I'm shooting medium format, and when I'm shooting f4, that's a really shallow depth of field. But in this case, for a portrait, I love the shallow depth of field. So first the color checker, and Esther, there's one thing with the color checker. It's a little bit tricky in the software, you have to make a really funny face, otherwise it won't work. Yeah, that's great. 1, 2, 3, go! They always fall for that one. Okay, thank you. And now we can make the light setup work. Now what I really like about this light setup is, normally people will say, don't use light setups like this, because you have one light on one side and the other light on that side, and that gives you a really bad image quality. Well, to be totally honest, I don't agree. However, don't let your model look straight ahead, because when she looks straight ahead, that doesn't look so nice. However, when she tilts her head towards one of the light sources, you can really play with your light. Now, the strip lights you can turn to, and the main light. Now you wonder, how do I meter the lights? What's the ratio? Well, to be totally honest, I totally believe in metering everything. However, when it goes to background lights, except when it's totally white or totally dark, and accent lights and hair lights, I never meter it. I always start out with the 1:1 ratio, meaning, in this case, f4 on this one, f4 on that one. And then I look at the image on the screen, and then I will adjust the ratio. So I will start out on 1:1, and then the creative process starts. So Esther, are you ready for the first shot? Okay, can you look into the light? Very nice. I focus on the closest eye, and there we go. Hey Esther, today you had a photo shoot and we filmed it for our podcast, DOORhof is always open. Now, this is your second photo shoot with me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you become our model? Because I think you competed in a competition, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
In the boulder model competition.
Yeah. And you won.
I won, yeah.
She's the number one.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I saw her, she was coming in, and I immediately said, that's our new model. And of course, the 100 euros you gave me, that also really helped.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know. So now, when you model, what do you really want to see in a photographer? Because a lot of the guys out there watching, they are starting out with model photography. And they really have to start learning how to coach your model. And some will talk, some will be very quiet. Now, as a model, you have some experience in front of the camera. What do you like?
I really like when someone is guiding me. So it's really giving clear directions and yeah, a lot of talking. I like that.
A lot of talking. And do you like music on the set?
Yeah, I like music on the set. Yeah.
So today it was very boring because we were filming and there was no music on the set.
Maybe later.
Okay, and what's your, if you have to describe yourself in one sentence as a model, what would you describe yourself as?
Well, I'm not sure. I think I like moving, jumping, and doing new things.
So not a, how do you call it, a boring, just standing there like a mannequin model. No. You like to move.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that in a model, you know, because you have some of those models and they will just stand still and then you have to really guide them and almost like a mannequin, you have to push her into certain poses. Yeah. And what you do I really like because you're moving around on the set, you're jumping, you're more extreme in your moves, and that's something that I think maybe a lot of models do have in them, but because you're with a photographer that doesn't talk, it doesn't come out.
Yeah.
So for you guys, it's really good to talk with your models and coach your models and guide them through the photo shoot. And remember, they don't see what you see through the lens. And yeah, one thing is important for Esther, and just say if you agree with me, in the end you want perfect images, right? And if you have to do something like 3 or 4 times over, that's no problem. No, so keep talking to your models, keep coaching them, and remember, they want good images, you want good images. And if you have to do something over, just do it over. Thank you so very much, Esther.
Thank you.
And I think we will be seeing you a lot in our studio, right?
So, yeah.
Okay, say hi to the guys. Okay. Hey Linda.
Hi, Frank.
So we've known each other for quite some years, right?
Correct.
I think it's 6, 7 years.
Yeah, I think it's probably more closer to 7 years.
It's closer to 7 years. Oh my. And this is my makeup artist of choice. And we have several makeup artists, but Linda, I think the most stuff you see online, that's the more extreme stuff, that's your work, right?
I think the more extreme stuff is mine, but also the very clean naturals are mine, because I expertise in that.
Okay, cool. Now, when you look at makeup artists, they cost money, right? And I always say, you know, photography is expensive. You have your camera gear, you have your lenses, you have your computers, you have the workshops, of course, the instructional DVDs, the DOORhof is always, sorry, that's free. Anyway, photography is expensive.
Yes.
Now, when you do a photo shoot, you can do several things. You can hire a makeup artist, something like you, or you can just do it in Photoshop. Now, I'm going to ask you to be really honest. And when I say honest, she really is honest. What should we do? Should we hire a makeup artist or use Photoshop?
Well, I will let you decide for yourself. When you hire me for half a day, 4 hours or a whole day, and that's a package. It's not cheap, but it's a package. Then when you're ready, you don't have to work that hard in Photoshop anymore. If you don't hire me, you have to work hours and hours afterwards on each photo. Well, say you want 10 photos and every photo takes you 1.5 or 2 hours. I think I'm probably cheaper. So
Yeah, I think so. Although Photoshop, it's really expensive, so but you need Photoshop anyway. But well, okay, I will cut the chase. Guys, a makeup artist sees really worth every cent you put in there. If it's a good makeup artist, of course. And you have a lot of makeup artists that aren't very well. So, like today, we had a photo shoot with Esther. And at one point, we had a cross lighting. And you saw a little bit of the, how do we call it, jumping hairs.
yes.
Now, in Photoshop, I could take them away in, let's say, 4 or 5 minutes. However, I asked you, and how long did it take you?
Well, I think about 30 seconds.
30
it was
seconds.
Gone. Yes.
Yeah, and now if I have to work on, let's say, 30 of those images, yeah, you will probably be right.
I'll be cheaper. It's
Yeah.
just my job to make the life of photographers a lot easier. And make the image come to life, because with makeup you get depth in your vision that you otherwise wouldn't get.
Yeah, you mean shaping, like if somebody has a really nice jawline with photography, you can of course use lights, but with makeup you can of course also shade your jawline and make it more stand
Correct.
out. Or if a nose is a little bit crooked, you can,
I can
do
make it
also
straight.
with makeup.
Yes.
Now, some of the models, they will have like blue veins in their face. And some models are perfect, like when we look at Esther, and especially the models, by the way, that have a little bit of red hair, freckles. Those are the ones that actually are really easy to Photoshop, because somehow their skin is very good. But sometimes we have had models, right, we call them modelzillas. They're like, they're nice girls, but you know, they shouldn't be model, I think, because they have skin problems. Now, as a makeup artist, you make, and I really have to say this to you, you do wonders, because often I do in Photoshop and I look at the images and was like, is this really the same girl? Now, what's your secret if, let's say you have a model that has a really bad skin and she has a lot of blue veins, she has a lot of color dotches in her face. How do you solve something like that?
Well, you use the right foundation, you use color correctors, and you make sure that everything evens out to make that perfect canvas to work on.
She talks like a photographer, right? Color checkers, canvas, and yeah, go on.
Well, what is most important is I can do a little bit of magic. I done a Harry Potter course, we say that. What I cannot do is when somebody has bumps, the light is gonna catch that. So you have to work with your photographer.
That's my job.
That's your job, to make the lighting go on that way that you don't see it, or otherwise work in Photoshop, because I can't make that disappear. Unless I go to your local store and buy some stuff to speckle it away, but that's
yeah,
not
we have the do-it-yourself store.
Yes.
You can buy a hammer, and somehow I think that will be more like a horror photo shoot
Yes.
instead of a normal fashion show.
So that's not my job. My job is to make everything as even as possible in color, and that is what I do.
Okay, so now if you have to give the starting photographers a tip about starting to work with a makeup artist, should they go out and immediately hire the best makeup artist they can get, or do you think, as I do, that TFP is a nice solution?
TFP, I like to call it Trade for Portfolio, is a great solution. You can scout around in your area at local schools, whether they have students who want to learn, and that way you both learn and go up at level at the same way. So you gain, both of you gain experience. Of course, if you just want to reach for the stars and get that perfect image right away, then hire a good makeup artist.
Yeah, but if you want to reach for the stars, you sure, and that's the main problem I have, and I hope you agree with me. In the old times, when you buy a violin, you're somebody that owns a violin. And today, when you buy a camera, you're a professional photographer. I think when you want to reach for the stars, you should first start out with building a rocket, or understanding how to build a rocket.
Well, that's the first part, because I think if you don't understand the first part of science, you can't be called a scientist, and just owning a camera doesn't make you a photographer.
I think the progress should take at least 1 or 2 years, and just start out TFP, Time for Portfolio, of Trade for Portfolio, that's a great subscription about it, and just build it up. Make your team, like the makeup artist, and you can grow together. If the makeup artists stay behind, okay, then you can get a better one. And invest in teamwork, because in the end, and it's something I really would like to give as a tip for you guys, like Linda, she doesn't only do the makeup. She is a vital part of my creative brain, because while I'm doing photography, I can see the light, I can see the model, I can see everything going on. However, I can only focus on, let's say, 3 or 4 things. Now, when you have a makeup artist that looks over your shoulder, she can focus on everything that's more important. Like, there's a little bit of hair and I didn't see it. Okay, so she can change it. Or with clothing, some makeup artists like Linda are also very creative by putting together the right clothes. And those people, well, they're really very valuable for your photo shoot. So Linda, I think we will be working a lot together in the future, as we already did. And probably you will see her again in a future episode. And do you have one more final tip for the photographers out there?
Well, yes, invest in the relationship, as you said. And remember, a good artist looks over your shoulder as a photographer, which means if you hire a per face or a per hour makeup artist, you miss the vital part of what a makeup artist can do.
Yes.
And make sure everything stays correct during the shoot.
Okay, and I have also one more tip for you guys. Now, some people, especially photographers that I talk to, there are a little bit about me. And meaning, if you want to shoot a photo shoot, let's say you only want to shoot high contrast portraiture or full bodies high contrast, please think about your makeup artist. She also needs photos for her portfolio. Now, if you hire a makeup artist, even if I hire a makeup artist, I will still give her 1 or 2 shots, but I will only give it to 1 or 2 shots and I will do what I like. However, if your makeup artist gives you a good deal and you want to work with her together in the future again, or she does it for TFP, even if it doesn't fit your vision, make sure that you shoot some nice portraits for your makeup artist. Do it nice in Photoshop and make sure that she gets nice images, because you're both working for free and maybe the model is working for free. So make sure that not only your portfolio grows. And you know, when you do stuff like this, she will come back and she will come back again. And your portfolio will grow even stronger. So thank you very much, Linda.
You're welcome, Frank. Thank you.
And now let's see if I can find Wendy for our final interview. And she's already running. Wendy, don't run away. Wait.
Bye-bye, Frank.
Hey guys, in this part I'm going to interview somebody that I know very well. And her name is Wendy, and Wendy is my assistant, and during normal photo shoots she will assist me with the lights, she will assist me with metering the light, and of course assist the models with the clothing choice and do everything in between. So Wendy, hi. You're nervous in front of the camera, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't be. They will like you anyway. So how did you start out with our studio?
2 years ago I followed an internship, so I came across your work on the internet and it was awesome, so that's why I mailed you, and then we got an internship, and after that things grow, and now I'm your assistant.
I remember the last day, I believe it was with EOS Digital Day. That was a big exhibition and we did workshops there.
Yeah.
And that I told you, well, okay, Wendy, this is your last day. And then you looked at me with those big puppy eyes and you said, oh no, I will not leave, I will come back again. And ever since, somehow,
yeah, I remember.
Yeah, you keep coming back with photo shoots. And then I think a year ago or so I said, you know what, you're just going to work for me, because
yes.
You know, sometimes it's important to have a certain connection with people. And with you, and I think that's very important in an assistant, that before I say the whole sentence, you already know what I want.
Yes.
And I see that with a lot of the interns now. We always have interns, you know that, like every 6 months we have an intern. And some interns, they will really understand what you want. However, sometimes it's also that you have to explain like 3 or 4 times. And when you're in a stressful situation, like when I'm shooting a celebrity, I don't have time to explain everything to my assistant. And with you, it's always like, okay, Wendy, oh, it's already done.
Yes.
And that's something that I find very interesting. Now, you're also a very good photographer.
Thank you.
When you do the assistant job, do you think as a photographer, or do you see yourself as a team-working assistant? Or do you always have that switch on from, oh man, I would love to shoot this?
Yes, no, it's different to be an assistant. You think much more other things, like is everybody happy? Does the makeup artist have coffee or something to eat. How's the model? Is the model ready? How is the lights? Is everything working? Is the camera ready? Is the computer ready?
Yeah, with my
so
camera.
many things. And is it not a mess? Don't light things around the floor that somebody can fall over, or you have a lot of other things to do than when you are photographing. At photographing you think about the image, and now I'm thinking about everything around, the light, everything works, so it's totally different, but sometimes it's still fun. I want to shoot. That's awesome.
I've been an assistant on 1 or 2 photo shoots, like last year when we were in, let's say where it was, I believe it was Washington DC. I assisted Jeremy Coward on a photo shoot, and it was so weird because at that moment I was in your position, like, okay, I don't do the shoot because he's doing the shoot.
Yes.
And it was weird because you see stuff going on and it's like, in my head I was like, oh man, I would really like to take this shot, or I would like to do this. And with Jeremy it was going quickly. So I didn't have much time to think about it, but I think if it were a studio setup, man, it would drive me nuts. So I have the deepest respect for that. And so in our studio, you are responsible for, to make it clear to all the people who are watching, you're doing the wedding photography.
Yes.
You're doing family portraits.
Yes.
You're doing children, like in an hour or so, you're doing a baby photo shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're doing some retouching.
Yep.
You make sure that I have drinks, that the dinner is, or the lunch is ready for the students.
The web shop.
You do the web shop.
Setup tools.
You do, of course, the Studio FD web shop also.
Yep.
Or website, sorry.
Yep.
So you're
a lot of
really
different. I have to be multitasking everywhere where I need it at that moment. So it's always different to be here. I don't know every day what's expecting to happen. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's cool. So for you guys out there, having an assistant is of course great. And I know that when you're starting out with photography, you think, well, I will never have an assistant. If you are doing a photo shoot and you think, well, I would really need an assistant, what you can always do is ask one of your friends. Because let's be totally honest, shooting photography is great. It's so much fun. And a lot of your friends will probably just help you out. And as long as they can carry your gear, set up the lights, hold a reflector, maybe get something to drink, they will have a blast and you will have an assistant. And often they will just do it for free for the learning experience. And now when you're working full time as a photographer, just go to one of your schools and ask if they have interns. Because in the end, girls like Wendy, they make your life a lot easier. So thank you very much, Wendy, for the interview.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
Let's hope that you will be our assistant in the studio for a long time to come.
I hope so.
Yes. Now I have to shoot Esther again because she's standing ready.
Yeah.
And for you guys, I just got a telephone call and I have somebody on the line from the UK. He's called Glyn Dewis. And yeah, Glyn is great. He will be doing a workshop with me at the end of August. And here's a little video for you to show. And well, it's about a problem that you guys all experience. It's about cleaning up the background. So I will call Glyn that he will start. So Glyn, are you there? Yeah? Okay, can you start the video? Okay, so guys, Glyn Dewis.
Hi folks, Glyn Dewis here with a quick Photoshop technique for you that I'm recording especially for my buddy Frank DOORhof's podcast, The DOORhof is Always Open. Now this is a technique all about cleaning up your images, and what I mean by that is when I'm in the studio, a lot of times I'm using a white or a grey seamless background, and when I get the pictures into the computer and start working on them in Photoshop later on, it's then that I start to see fingerprints and smudges and scuff marks all over the background that I didn't actually see during the time of the photo shoot. So what I used to find, was that I would spend so much time in Photoshop just cleaning up the background, in probably in fact more time doing that than I would retouching the main subject of the photo. So if that sounds kind of familiar, you're going to love this technique, because what I'm about to show you is a technique where we can clean up the background in under 1 minute. Okay, so here we are in Photoshop, and in front of us on the screen you can see the typical kind of picture shot on a white seamless background that I would spend so much time trying to clean up. Now, incidentally, this picture here, it's of a lady called Chanel Fusco, who's a singer, and this formed part of her CD artwork. But getting back to the cleaning up side of things, now obviously Photoshop being Photoshop, there are so many ways that you can achieve the same kind of result, but that doesn't necessarily mean that one technique fits all. So I think having a knowledge of loads and loads of different techniques so you can keep all these in your like Photoshop toolbox is always a good thing, because like I say, one technique won't necessarily work on another pitch. So, and this is a perfect example of that. So here's what I used to do to try and clean the pictures up when they were shot on, say, like a white seamless. I would duplicate the background layer, and then I would zoom in, and I'd get something like my patch tool, and I'd look for areas containing all these marks and smudges, and I'd just make rough selections around them and drag that area onto a clean area of the picture so that Photoshop would then replace it for me, like so. Now that worked great up to a point, and one of the big disadvantages of it was, although it was working great, was that it would take me sometimes forever. So I wasn't really gaining anything from using just the patch tool. So then I started to use something like the Gaussian blur. So again, I would duplicate the background layer, and I'd go to filter, blur, and Gaussian blur, and I'd apply so much blur that you could hardly see anything. So obviously all the dust and marks and all that kind of stuff are gone. So I'd bring up the radius on this picture here for something like, I don't know, 9 pixels-ish, something like that, 9.1, and click OK. So yeah, we can't see any of these marks now. So all I'd then do is add a black mask, get a white brush, and then simply paint them away. So that was really, really good until I got to anywhere where there was detail in the picture. So like we've got this chair leg and this reflection, and if I came kind of fairly close to it, straight away I'd start to get this kind of smudging effect. So I'd end up having to go back a step and reducing the size of my brush right down and really trying to be careful to get into all these tight areas. But no matter how hard I tried, I would still get this smudging. So that wasn't really suitable for this kind of picture. So then I resorted to using the magic median filter. Now, it isn't called the magic median filter, it's just median. But I think once you've seen how it can be used in this kind of instance here, I think you'd agree it is pretty magic, especially when you see how quick we can clean up the background. So here's how we do it. Duplicate the background layer. We'll then go to filter, noise, and median. Now here, all we're going to do is take the radius right down to 1, and then keep an eye on areas in your picture where you can see the marks and the smudges, and just bring the radius up to the point where all of a sudden those marks are gone. Now something like 11 pixels works great on this picture. Now it's applied a kind of a blur, but the big difference now between the median and something like, say, the Gaussian blur is that we can still see the content within the picture. So I can still see a really defined outline here of the chair leg and the reflection and Chanel's leg as well here, really, really still defined. And that's going to be incredibly helpful now. So all I'm going to do is click OK. I'm then going to apply a black mask, just like I did when I used the Gaussian blur filter. And I'm going to get a white brush, and I'm just going to very, very quickly paint over areas that contain some of these obvious smudges and marks, and they're going to disappear. But the big advantage now is when I come over to where the content is, I can get right up close to them and still no smudging. So these marks are going incredibly quickly. So I can actually end up being quite sloppy with how I'm working on this picture now to remove all these marks. So they're going away in record time. So I'm just quickly moving over here, get rid of these marks here. There's some big marks over there, so they're gone. And if I just zoom in, there's a little bit on this reflection here. So get the brush, reduce the size, quick stroke, and we're done. That is the picture done incredibly fast, just using what I call the magic median. So there you go, a really quick way, and I would say magic way, of cleaning up your images in Photoshop using the median filter. Maybe as a finishing touch you might think about adding in some noise using the add noise filter, but when you're working on pictures with blown out white backgrounds like this, it's not really all that necessary. Right, that's all from me, so I've got some cleaning to do. Frank, over to you.
Thank you so very much, Glyn. This was an amazing tip because a lot of people, especially with fashion photography, they have problems with cleaning up the backgrounds. And this is a tip, well, it will save them a lot of time. So thanks again, man. This is cool. Okay, so now we are at the end of the second long episode of The DOORhof is Always Open. I hope you guys liked it, and of course there will be more episodes. In between there will be smaller episodes, of course, but the longer episodes will all have a theme. Now, if you have an idea for a theme or if you want to participate in one of the episodes, you can send in your ideas or send in some videos with some amazing tips you have. And who knows, we'll see you in the next episode of The DOORhof is Always Open. And of course, look on our website for instructional DVDs. We also have all the DVDs downloadable at the moment. And finally, if you want more instructional material, look at kelbytraining.com. You can find the most amazing photographers over there, like Jay Maisel, Jeremy Coward, John McNally, and many, many more. And there are also videos on from me. So I hope you like what you see here, and go online or to our web store for the DVDs or on Kelby Training. So see you next time, guys, and have fun with shooting.